Good evening, San Diego. I'm Chief Meteorologist Carlene Chavis. Thank you for tuning in for your CBS 8 Plus weather update. Well, we had that rainfall that moved in earlier today, and it was heavy at times, especially during that key time frame of 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And when we had the downpours earlier today, they were favoring portions of North County, and that's where we had more than an inch of rainfall. We saw that right along the North County coastline with more than that inch, and then also for Escondido. Basically, this corridor right about here, that is where we also saw a flash flood warning because of heavier rainfall earlier today. Saw more than an inch for Valley Center, the same for Fallbrook. And more you go towards the south, you're talking about some totals that are elevated, but just not as high. We had more than a half an inch for downtown, also more than that for National City. It was measurable rainfall across the entire county, even stretching to the desert. So we'll continue to see these numbers going up all the way through tomorrow, as we are still anticipating more rainfall in the forecast through Friday. Now it's shifting gears a little bit more. We're not talking about really widespread heavy activity. We're going to be looking at isolated to scattered activity. Could still see some moderate pockets of rainfall out there, but relatively talking more so showers than anything else all the way through tomorrow. So for the coast, additional quarter of an inch, a little bit more than that being possible, up to about an inch, and that would be for the inland valleys, closer towards mainly the foothills. So you're talking about mainly seeing that near Ramona, across the backcountry, and also for the mountains when it comes to that inch to possibly even 2 inches, and even more measurable rainfall for the desert, what it would be less than a quarter of an inch of rainfall. So that's what we're going with all the way through Friday, as we're still holding on to chances for wet weather. Now, we had a lot of it moving through over the last 6 hours, but things right now are relatively quiet compared to what they were at earlier today, where we had more of that activity just across our entire county. Why? Because the fronts moved out. The front's now impacting across Arizona, starting to move in towards Yuma and continuing with that area of low pressure attached to it, bringing scattered showers and even some higher elevation snow. And we're going to see that across the state of Arizona. But for us here, it's just still some lingering showers, as you're seeing right off of that west breeze that's going to impact as we go into the overnight hours. So when we take a closer look at what's sticking right now, you're seeing some relatively light stuff. You're seeing some light showers near, and even a little bit more of a moderate pocket, and that's near Escondido, the same for Ramona. And then we're also starting to see a line of some light showers making a beeline right towards the South Bay. Now, when we set the clock in motion, we're looking at some relatively light activity around 10:20 for tonight, and then we get into those overnight hours. Could hear some rumbling out there, especially if you're closer towards the mountains. And so you're seeing that with a cell popping up around 12:50. Also looking at some more moderate rainfall impacting right along the 15 North County, and then also right along the 8 near Pine Valley. Still holding on to chances into the overnight hours, and then we talk about the snow. So snow level down near about 4,000 feet, 1 to 3 inches of snow expected in our mountains, and that's going to be overnight all the way through tomorrow morning. Looking at those chances, and you're seeing that, and that's going to be for Mount Laguna, as well as seeing a cell, and that is right across Fallbrook around 540 tomorrow morning. And then we get into the rest of the day, just on again, off again activity, and then looking at it a little bit more spotty by around 9:55. But if you're going to be along the 15 in Escondido, something to be mindful of, as well as along the 8 in Santee. And then you also see some more of that activity just impacting around Ramona. That's about 12:10, not as scattered as mentioned, not as widespread, I should say, as it was earlier today with that activity, but just some hit or miss before we get to much drier Saturday. Saturday is a breather. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at what's still in effect. We still have the flood watch. That will keep going all the way through tomorrow morning, as we are still expecting some more wet weather, and we've already had some flood concerns earlier today. Now the flood watch will keep going all the way until about 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Flood advisory is still in effect, and that will go all the way until 2 p.m. For tomorrow. That's because San Diego River at Fashion Valley levels are expected to rise, getting up to about 8 feet for tonight. The action stage, when you start to see the alerts going out, that's around 7.5 feet. So going above that, and that's why that is in effect. So we've already started to see some of the road closures around that area, especially low lying, because when you're closer towards that river, you start to get the overflow onto the roads. And if you do encounter a road that you don't know just how deep it is, please do not drive through it. When we look at other alerts, especially impacting along our coastline, we have a small craft advisory for boaters, those seas building up to about 11 feet, and then also high surf right along our coast, and that's with large breaking waves all the way up to 10 feet and strong rip currents being present. This weekend, as I mentioned, we get a breather, and that's going to be on Saturday. So mostly cloudy and cool temperatures. We're going to be below seasonal and still staying below seasonal by Sunday, but late day light showers are possible in that forecast for Sunday, and that takes us all the way into the start of next week. We are looking at still the chances for rain and also talking about some mountain snow for Friday. There's that slight chance for Saturday. And then we start to see those chances going up by next week. And that's not just because of one, but two storm systems anticipated for next week. It's been a late start to the season, and now all of a sudden everything's coming all at once. And so we are looking at a big jump when you go from Saturday all the way to Tuesday when it comes to our chances for rain. And we could actually see these numbers go up even higher as we get closer to that rain event. Let's go ahead and talk about the next storm system, because this one is definitely going to be a big talker. It's also going to be an area of low pressure that's going to be a slow mover compared to the fast moving front that we had earlier today that brought in the wet weather. So as mentioned, light rain, could even be dealing with some showers starting as early as a late Saturday afternoon through the evening hours. Then we get to more moderate rainfall. That looks to be on Monday all the way into Monday evening, and then Tuesday is when we get to heavier stuff. So that's that time frame, that window of opportunity for heavier rainfall in our forecast. Then we get back to light to moderate rainfall, and that will be on Wednesday. Why is this happening? We have an area of low pressure that's going to be moving in, and that's going to create this big dip in the jet stream. It is tapping into subtropical moisture, tapping into tropical moisture, but funneling it all in across central as well as Southern California. We're anticipating this setup all the way into the start of next week. So on Monday at 10 p.m., you are looking at that time frame. So that's kind of lining up with when we said looking at the heavier rainfall with that. So that's going to be about Monday night all the way through Tuesday morning. So tapping into that moisture with this area of low pressure. It's going to linger for a couple of days, and so we're holding on to those rain chances with that next one from Monday all the way until Wednesday. And with that being said, and I always say this, it is subject to change, because once we get closer to the actual rain event, that's when we get a better grasp when it comes to rainfall totals. As of this evening, it is suggested that we could see about 1 to 3 inches of rainfall, even potentially seeing upwards of 4 to 5, and that would favor the mountains. So that's something, obviously, big totals, something to be mindful of in our forecast, and we will fine tune that as we get closer to the event. Models kind of get more of a grasp on it, and of course keep you updated, because that's a lot of rain, especially when you consider we typically get a few hundredths of an inch on a daily basis, around 6 to 9 hundredths of an inch. So that's what we're monitoring to start off next week. Then we have a little bit of a break. It's like not really a break, actually. We're just in between systems, but still a lot of surrounding moisture keeps our chances for rain in the forecast on Thursday. And then we have another area of low pressure that moves in, and that also taps into an atmospheric river. So that keeps the jet stream relatively deep with that dip over the west. That's all the way until Friday. Still looking at those rain chances all the way through Friday. So much of next week, we're dealing with rain. The only breather that we appear to get really is going to be on Saturday with that slight chance, and then we could be dealing with some late day showers, but it'll be relatively light. Most of Sunday does look to be mostly dry, but then we're getting into next week, and that's why you're seeing just basically steady rainfall chances. As you saw with that last graphic, it was anywhere between 50 to 80% chance. So we'll continue to monitor that all the way into next week. Not necessarily talking about snow for our local mountains, because as mentioned, it's tapping into subtropical and tropical moisture. So relatively high snowfall levels with that above 7,000 feet. So we wouldn't see anything here locally, but the emphasis for us is going to be more so in the heavy rainfall. And as mentioned, we could see an upwards of 4 or more inches of rainfall in our local mountains, and then also even seeing that across the desert as we are tapping into yet another atmospheric river for next week. We will keep you posted on all the details as we get closer to this rain event, and I hope you stay nice and dry out there as we go into tonight. Thanks for tuning in.